Hi, everyone. Thank you for your continued patience. We are still waiting on a few council members who are running behind. We will get started in a few minutes with presentations if we don't have a quorum here to get started. But we'll give about 3 to 4 more minutes, and then we'll get started. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, August 15th, 2023 meeting of the City Utilities Committee. I am Jason Winston, chair of the committee, and I am joined to my left with my lone colleague, Councilmember Jason Dozier. We are still waiting on a few council members who are running late, but wanted to go ahead and get started with presentations this morning. We do have one presentation, the Office of Sustainability's quarterly report. And we have our Chief Sustainability Officer, Ms. Chandra Farley. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So I'm excited to be back here for our second quarterly presentation to the City Utilities Committee. So still figuring out the right cadence and getting in the groove. There is a lot happening in the sustainability and climate space, and just as we face and finished the hottest month ever recorded on the planet this year, climate change and its impact on the globe, and particularly Atlanta, has been very present and in a lot of conversations and action planning for our work. So since the last time, we have a nice new logo. So we are excited that the Mayor's Office of Sustainability is logo official and appended here and joined here with the Mayor's Moving Atlanta Forward agenda. Within the Mayor's 4 pillars, sustainability sits under a city built for the future, but also a city of opportunity for all, where our food access work sits under that pillar. But as we know, we can find and work towards sustainability and climate resilience across all of the mayor's pillars. If we look at the mayor's vision, talking about safe, healthy, connected neighborhoods, I talk about that vision as a statement on environmental justice. You'd be hard-pressed to find any sort of community-based organization, environmental organization that doesn't understand and speak specifically to the importance of safe, healthy, and connected communities, no matter what the subject matter is. So this is our lovely office, most of them. So we have the Mayor's Office of Sustainability. These are our key team members. We are looking at hiring, and I'm very excited about the opportunity to hire. These are the 3 priority positions that I'm working on hiring, and I want to thank Lolita Farrell, who's been working with me to make sure that the job descriptions are right, our salary ranges are right. You had these positions posted a couple of times over the summer and just wasn't attracting the right candidates. So we've done some work together, and we'll be reposting these positions, getting a lot of help from our network to make sure we've got the right candidates. And this has been my focus over the last quarter for the office: building capacity, program delivery. I mentioned we have lots of things going on that we will get into, and continuing to build those priority relationships with key departments. We're a mayor's office. We set policies, develop plans, targets, but our work is implemented through the departments, the people that have buildings, the people that have infrastructure. So continuing to do that, and very grateful for the partnership with our commissioners and city employees across those departments. This is our urban agriculture and food systems team, and I think it's always important to call this out. I was able to get an urban agriculture and food systems presentation on the cabinet agenda a couple of weeks ago. When I gave my first presentation to cabinet, I realized our urban ag and food systems team is about the same size as our entire office. And as a reminder, our urban agriculture and food systems team is a partnership between the Office of Sustainability and Resilience and the Department of City Planning. So our Director of Urban Agriculture and Food Systems, Jay Olu, is in the Office of Sustainability and Resilience, but the head of our Aglanta program, Justin Nicholson, and his team members, and we have another team member who departed this summer, will be rehiring that position, sit in the Department of City Planning. And this makes a lot of sense. We deal with a lot of land use. Urban agriculture is farming, so looking at land, looking at zoning. So that's continued to be a really great partnership, and I want to thank Commissioner Prince and Deputy Commissioner Sidafal and many across the Department of City Planning who continue to make that a productive partnership, including a commitment to some budget allocations out of DCP that support that work. So where have we been? We can talk about some successes. These are successes that I highlighted in our April quarterly presentation, and these are some next steps in what we have done since then. Actually, just last night, one of our Office of Fleet Services team members is at a Green Fleets conference, and so we just found out that Atlanta has ranked at number 35 for the NAFA's top 50 Green Fleet Awards. So we're really excited about that. We slipped 2 places from 33 last year, but that application process was a multi-departmental effort. Deputy John Seidel led that effort right as he was headed out on paternity leave. So we were excited about that, and that application is really serving us, particularly through our interdepartmental fleet electrification and EV charging infrastructure working group. So that is a group that meets biweekly. We just staying together on our plans, and this work will be particularly important as we begin to update our electric vehicle charging ordinances, our EV workbook. Lots of things happening in the electric vehicle space right now, so lots of exciting efforts in that area. We were named a climate action leader, moving from a C to A in 1 year. So that announcement was made right as I was coming on board last year. So we have submitted our 2024 questionnaire to CDP. What we learned is that CDP has changed its questionnaire. So CDP is the Carbon Disclosure Project. They've changed their questionnaire and really are pushing to have all of the cities, the countries, the companies, and corporations that submit through this platform have what we call science-based targets. And so in addition to just submitting our surveys through CDP, we get a lot of technical assistance from them on how to set our goals for the city. So we've learned a lot through that process. Appreciate their technical assistance, and that's going to be helping us update our goals, which, as I've mentioned and will mention again, all of our goals for the city related to climate action, clean energy, sustainability, and climate resilience are due for an update. And that is a priority focus of the work of our office right now and over the next 6 to 9 months. So our Sustainability Ambassadors Program will be launching again soon, our fall 2023 class. Michelle Wiseman, our Director of Waste Diversion, leads that effort. We have over 300 ambassadors that have been through City of Atlanta Sustainability Program. These are young folks, junior high, high school kids, all the way up to retirees who have been through this program, from corporations to residents. So this is a very popular program. They are very proud to be sustainability ambassadors. It's very great to meet them. They get together. There's 7 sessions for the Sustainability Ambassador Program, so we will be putting that out on DHR citywide pretty soon. Updating our goal to 100% of Atlantans. So our fresh food access goal has been how to get 85% of Atlantans within half a mile of fresh, affordable food by 2025. And we were working on a press release for something, and it was relayed to me that the mayor said, well, what about the other 15%? And we were like, well, yeah, what about them? So we have decided to, that was a goal that was set with previous staff and previous administrations. So we are looking at that goal, and we've just made a commitment to update it to 100%. We are figuring out the year. It will probably be in alignment with our 100% clean energy goal. But something else we are working on, led by our Urban Agriculture and Food Systems team, is the city's first comprehensive food systems plan. So we will be kicking that work off. I mean, it's happening now, but kicking it off in earnest here before the end of the year. And those are the kinds of things we look like. We've got some really great fresh food access maps. We have an app, so you can go on to the app and see all different indicators related to food access, food insecurity, local food production. Invest Atlanta has made good use of those maps and some of the work that they are doing around attracting grocers and neighborhood markets. But again, it's due for an update. So we're looking forward to being in partnership with many and some data, getting some data support to get all that updated. Another update, Solar Atlanta installations on 23 city buildings was reported in the first quarter. Actually, on Monday, we will finally be introducing legislation to expand our Solar Atlanta program. So we have Department of Aviation on board, which we are very excited about. And we are going to be able to probably double our number of number of buildings that have solar in the next 3 to 5 years. So that's very exciting. That will be getting introduced on Monday. Work's already happening about how to prioritize which buildings, doing the feasibility studies. So we're very excited about that. I'll talk about some of the metrics and things that we are learning as we go forward. And still rising. I've got sort of a question mark and an exclamation mark there as we talk about our EPA Energy Star rankings. We have really been looking at this number, particularly as it relates to our commercial building energy efficiency ordinance. We'll talk about how the reporting on that effort has kind of plateaued. There's a number of reasons for that: lack of capacity. We've had a help desk in partnership with some technical assistance organizations across the city. And as those things have gone away, we've definitely seen the impact on reporting. It's also time to move from benchmarking to building performance standards. Other things that we need to do to be pushing the city, ourselves, and our municipal facilities, but also buildings across the city to be doing everything that they can to reduce their buildings' emissions. Buildings are our number one source of emissions here in the city of Atlanta. Transportation is second. That's pretty standard for what you're going to see for any city. It goes back and forth. So that is a huge area to help us meet our goals. We talked about the Georgia Power rate case. We continue to maintain our engagement with Georgia Power and at the Public Service Commission. When you are a party to these cases, there are a number of dockets, multiple dockets that are within the one case. So that provides us ongoing opportunity to, for instance, we commented along with some other partners to give Georgia Power and the Public Service Commission our recommendations around designing programs for homeowners classified as low income. We talked about ways to expand the senior discount. So that's a really important point of engagement for us. We continue to stay engaged in that regulatory space, but also directly with the company. And talking about new partnerships here, we talking about new partnerships, and then we had an Earth Day proclamation this year. We sent some things out via DHR citywide about Earth Day. America Recycles Day is our next sort of big opportunity to activate the city around sustainability. That's November 15th, so we're starting to work now. We'll want to do another proclamation. We're going to set up some sort of education and awareness communications to go out on DHR citywide. So Clean Energy Atlanta, where are we? We talked quite a bit about this in April, just trying to understand where we're at, what are we looking at? And it was really important for us to understand and continue to communicate that the city of Atlanta's energy mix is Georgia Power's energy mix. So when we are talking about reaching our interim goal of 30% clean energy by 2035, we're looking at what Georgia Power's mix is. We are at about 13-ish, 14% clean energy right now. But we've all heard in the news that Unit 3 at Plant Vogtle has come online. So how does that impact us? When City of Atlanta wrote its clean energy plan, we did not include nuclear in our definition of clean. That was intentional. It was during a time when there was lots of activism around sort of last chance for the Public Service Commission to make decisions to get a handle on those costs. And other cities around the state that also adopted clean energy resolutions after us adopted that same definition. So what we do know is that that would probably take the city from, if we were to include nuclear, from about 13-ish% to about 26%. So we would be right in, target of meeting our clean energy goal. But it's very important to take the energy advancements in the full context of the impact on ratepayers, particularly those who are already overburdened by too high and utility costs that are continuing to rise. So again, we're in open conversation with the utility about this. We talk about this very openly in conversations. So that is where we are on our clean energy goals. So I talked a little bit about our commercial building energy efficiency ordinance. Our submission deadline was in July. These are some stats from our 2023 cycle reporting. So we got some feedback that our mailer was a little intense. So we might be looking at how to change that next year, but lots of good feedback and lots of good awareness building. We held a benchmarking 101 this year in partnership with our friends and technical assistance partners at Southbase. We've gotten a lot of great engagement and good partnership with Atlanta Housing, which has really helped. So still, again, if you look, did great for the city. I want to thank Michelle Madanier, our clean energy associate, and many of those across the city that are still just kind of helping us, like, who pays your bill? Who pays your bill? Give us the email so we can contact them, because it's just a matter of trying to get all of our data together. That's still a huge exercise for us. That will be the priority of the energy and technical services manager that we will hire, is just trying to get the city and all the departments all on one page about who's paying our utilities, where that data is going, working with the utilities for the things that we ask for. So really good effort here on our municipal buildings. If you look citywide, this 24%, that's about what we hover around, 24 to 28%. And again, that's been for various reasons: staff capacity, outside funding for outside technical assistance support. So we were recently awarded a grant in partnership with the Southeastern Energy Efficiency Alliance, specifically to look at building performance standards, equity, and more stringent building codes. And this is one of our first efforts. We're going to work together to bring some industry leaders together to talk about, so what's next? We're not the only city having this issue. Some cities are able to increase their compliance with their benchmarking ordinance with really expensive software, all of these kinds of things. So we are looking at all of these opportunities. We are actually in the midst of developing our Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant Program application, and we're going to use some of that funding in addition to try to test some new strategies on some of our municipal facilities. We worked with the utility and and within Department of Enterprise Asset Management, Parks and Recreation, Fire and Rescue. So we've identified the worst performing buildings in the city. And so we're going to look at those buildings, look at the top 3, and identify one that we can, put some money in, make some energy efficiency, water efficiency upgrades. If there's renewable energy opportunities, if they're not already in the Solar Atlanta program. And a part of that will be allocating some dollars to some different softwares that we've looked at to see what's really going to work best for the city. So talking about Solar Atlanta, we're super excited to be able to add the airport as one of the users in this program. This will hopefully keep us at the top in Georgia, having the largest municipal solar program in the state, with our 23 sites, and again, looking to double. But as we've started to dig into some of these numbers, when we think about our ROI and our installed capacity, Councilmember Shook asked me last time, what is our maximum capacity? And so that potential is looking to be about 30 megawatts across the city, municipal buildings across the city. So our installed capacity right now is just about 2%. We'll see that double with the addition of these new buildings and our new user with the airport over the next 3 years or so. But we really want to have some conversations about how do we ramp this up? What else do we need to be doing to advance towards our clean energy goals here at the city. So looking forward to having more conversations, and have been talking about storage as well. Solar paired with battery storage, we know, is also a resilient strategy. So I've been talking with Commissioner Cutler and Parks, Georgia Power, Cherry Street, our partner, and some community partners around what it would mean to take some of our recreation centers that already have solar on them, so they can serve as resilience hubs. And I've been talking with Commissioner Clay. I've mentioned this a couple of times. Right now, we've got cooling centers open across the city. So extreme heat as one of the natural disasters that we are experiencing more intensely and more frequently, that can drive blackouts. Or what if we had another huge storm? So the idea of being able to pair solar with storage at our recreation centers, perhaps focusing on those 3 to 5 sites that we use for our warming centers in the winter and our cooling centers in the summer, have that backup power where people can go. And this is where seniors can go to keep their medicines cool. People can go to charge their phones. Perhaps there's deep freezers. People can take their meat because when blackouts are happening or in extreme heat, people are literally keeping their homes at unsafe temperatures because they know they can't afford the increase in their utility costs. So that's another reason that people might need to, be able to take shelter at some of these centers. So those are some of the things that we are thinking about as we move forward from solar to solar paired with storage and a climate resilience framework. So, hallelujah, Weatherize, coming soon, finally. This has been on the agenda for the city and was my priority coming in. We've finally gotten through sort of the MOU review process. I want to thank our legal team and Jerry Deloach, who's been working with us through that. We have a compliance intake meeting on Friday. And these are the partners that will be helping us implement this program to bring weatherization assistance. And it's called Weatherize, but we will be talking about weatherization. But this is really about deep energy efficiency retrofits. So people go from weatherization, caulking the windows and doors, towards deep energy retrofits, electrification. Maybe we're looking at opportunities to pair them with opportunities to, remove gas heating, to go to electric heating, and opportunities to perhaps install solar. So in partnership with other local governments across the state, we will be launching and supporting another residential Solarize program. And our Solarize programs focused on residential in the past have not been able to meet the needs and the requirements of households classified as low or moderate income. The upfront cost is still too high. Financing barriers still don't work out. So we've got a good partner called the Capital Good Fund. They're a community development financial institution with a financial product specifically focused on low to moderate income households and really focusing on the L. Because a lot of times we talk about LMI households and LMI programs, and it's only working for the M, the moderate. So we've really got to make sure that we're focusing on the L. I'm so excited about being able to roll these opportunities and programs out complementary. I'm also talking to Invest Atlanta. They're getting ready to roll out their updated owner-occupied rehab program. The city has a roof replacement program, which we know is another huge barrier for homes that may be ready or able to afford solar, but that roof cost can be very expensive. So more to come on that. Lake Charlotte Nature Preserve, we talked about this in April, and just want to give an update on this. We are generating credits. So right now, I talked about Mayor's Office of Sustainability and Resilience and Department of Parks and Recreation are going to enter into an MOU to share the revenue that will be generated from the sale of these credits. This isn't a space that the city has operated in before, so we're getting a lot of support from Attorney Spencer Peck and some outside counsel. We're talking to a company called Solar Stewards, who specifically focuses on leveraging these credits to reinvest back into community for environmental justice focused projects. So really excited about that, more to come. And this is a hot topic. We are at the 1-year anniversary of the Biden-Harris administration Inflation Reduction Act. This has consumed me and my office and many others in trying to keep up with and capitalize on the opportunities that are available to the city here. Lots of partnerships. We talked about the Charging Fueling Infrastructure Grant in partnership with Department of Transportation and Parks and Recreation. The Climate Pollution Reduction Grant is a metropolitan statistical area opportunity. So we're working with Atlanta Regional Commission on that, as well as the state. So the state of Georgia did take advantage of this opportunity. There was a state opportunity, and then there was an opportunity for 60 MSAs across the country. So we're going to be working together. This will be the first time Georgia has ever had anything really looking like a climate plan. So we're really excited about our metro and city of Atlanta being able to work with some of the smaller cities and local governments around the metro who aren't as near as far along as we have, who've never had a climate action plan or a sustainability position. So we're excited about that. The Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund is a $27 billion opportunity through the EPA. There are 3 competitions, 2 within a $20 billion pot. We're working with Invest Atlanta, who's working on their strategy to apply for those funds. Local governments are not eligible for that. Local governments are eligible for the $7 billion Solar for All program pot, and we're working in coalition with our local governments across the state because they're only going to give they're estimating about 1 award per state. So we knew we would be most competitive working together. But this is going to be another opportunity to breach or get past that first cost barrier for a lot of those who can't afford solar. These will also be dollars that we would be able to direct to workforce development related to clean energy and energy efficiency. So I'm very excited about these, all of these opportunities. And finally, I want to make sure everyone knows about Aglanta Eats. So Aglanta is the name of our program from our Urban Ag and Food Systems team that works with Department of City Planning. This is an annual event. It's a wonderful event. It will be at the Botanical Garden next week. We've got a code for City of Atlanta employees. Would love to have all of you come out. There'll be local chefs, local producers doing food, interesting drinks. There'll be music. The mayor will be there. It's just a really good time to bring community together to celebrate the city and celebrate our very strong local food ecosystem. And also next week, we're going to be pretty busy. We're having a Sustainability Innovation Lab in the Old City Council chambers. The majority of these attendees will be our Clean Energy Advisory Board, other key stakeholders, and partners from across various departments. We'd love to have you if you want to stop by and join us. This is the first step in getting prepared to develop an updated sustainability and climate resilience plan for the city. There's also a survey that you could take. We'd love to have your input. That's out on all of our social media. And finally, I wanted to talk about, because we've had a lot of conversation about heat. What are we going to do about extreme heat? Councilmember Bakhtiari and Councilmember Westmoreland put out their heat and flood vulnerability assessment a couple weeks ago. I've been using that in conversation with other city departments, parks, watershed, planning, to have a conversation. And this is a unique technical assistance program that we're doing in partnership with the Department of Transportation through the National League of Cities. There's been a lot of press out about it. National League of Cities, will be here in Atlanta for their big annual meeting in November. I want to thank ADOT and particularly John Saxton for taking on the coordination of this. Another interdepartmental effort, 3 years of technical assistance, and we're already looking at some projects and funding opportunities to implement some of these innovative programs. So I'll skip that. Talking about moving forward, I talked about the Solarize program. We're already talking about the World Cup. I've got some things in my inbox right now. That's going to be a very important opportunity, very exciting for the city, but very exciting for sustainability and resilience across the city, because we're going to be able to probably drive some projects that maybe we didn't have funding for, maybe we didn't have support before, that were feasible based on the areas that we're in. But FIFA will be a huge driver to that effort. I talked about the Resilience Hub program. The Greening America Cities initiative, we're working with some of our local urban agriculture partners on that, and we'll be looking forward to having more conversation about a clean energy fund for the city. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, CSO Farley, for a great presentation. Before we get into questions, I did want to acknowledge we've been joined to my immediately right is Councilmember Andrea Boone, Vice Chair of the committee. To her right is Councilmember Antonio Lewis, and we were joined to my far left by Councilmember Howard Shook. So at this time, any questions or comments from my colleagues? Got one, Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you. And my questions were around the fresh food program. I know you said we upgraded it from 85% to 100%. How were we getting to the 75%? Were it new grocers popping up like the one on Publix, or how close were we to the 85%? Sorry, how close were we to the 85%, seeing that we're only 2 years away from the 2025 year?
Yeah, so we were 75% towards reaching 85.
What does that mean?
That means that we were just 10% away from meeting our goal.
So are you saying that I want to make sure, so you're saying that 75% of 85% of Atlantans are within
Half a mile of fresh, nutritious food.
and that's something we're going to stand on. That currently in the city of Atlanta, 75% of that, 75% of that 85% number of folks in the city of Atlanta, like me, who live in Polar Rock, or folks who live in South River Gardens, they're a half a mile from fresh groceries?
We would have to look at the map, and I wouldn't say that that's true for your neighborhood, because there's still 25% of people in the city who are not within half a mile of fresh, nutritious food. So that is why we are looking at that goal and looking to update our data and looking to update our numbers through the development of the city's first food systems plan to answer the question that you are answering. Where is this happening? If it's not happening, why? And what do we need to do about it?
I would just like, I know you mentioned the app. What's the name of the app? Because I was looking through the flyer. I was looking through this to see if I can find the app that you mentioned, the interactive app.
If you go to Aglanta, from our website, you should be able to pull the app from there.
And that should show me how close or where we are in that, because that seems like a huge number, and I'm excited if we are there. I'm just hopeful. I'm looking around my district, and I'm like, maybe they haven't gotten to us yet, because I don't see the improvements. And I know I've been in office 2 years, and I haven't been there to cut a ribbon or see these things pop up.
That's probably very true, which is why we want to look at actually where are we missing the 25%, so we can focus our areas. Right. So that's how we strategize and prioritize. We look at the map, where are areas of red, where are they call them LILA, low income, low access areas, when we're talking about food security and access. And then it's like, okay, this is not happening in this area. Let's focus some efforts there.
And lastly, around the Lake Charlotte project, have we sold any of the carbon?
Not yet. So we're still working through our legal processes for the city. The city's never done this before, so we're still figuring out what that entails. Attorney Spencer Peck is working with us. You know, there's a legal component. There's going to be a procurement component. So we're having a lot of meetings and conversations about what that's going to look like.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Lewis. Just one brief comment from myself, just if you could keep us in the loop with the Resilient Infrastructure Technical Assistance Program. I think, anyone that has been in Atlanta last week has seen what extreme heat does to the city. We've had some big supercell storms that have come through, and I think anything that we can do to try to decrease extreme heat, in the core of our city will help, with sustainability efforts. So just please keep us updated on programs such as this so that we can stay involved.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you so much for your quarterly update.
Thank you.
So we do have a quorum now with the council members that are all here, so we can get back to our regularly scheduled agenda here. So I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Have a motion by Councilmember Dozier, a second by Councilmember Shook. Can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been adopted.
Thank you. At this time, I will make a motion to approve the minutes. About second by Dozier. Can you open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
Thank you. Next, we have our public comment section. Do we have anyone that's here for public comments?
Mr. Chair, we have no one signed up for public comment.
Okay. Seeing none, we will go into our consent agenda.
Section G, ordinance for first reading. Item number 1, 2023-01418, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the waiver of the requirement of Section 2-910 of the Atlanta City Code to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2024 intergovernmental grant fund budget in an amount of $200,000.00 to anticipate an appropriate fund from Section 319H grant from the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, Environmental Protection Division, to authorize the mayor's designee to execute an agreement for the 319H grant to fund the Moores Mill Road Green Infrastructure Project, which requires matching funds in an amount not to exceed $200,000.00. All contract work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. Item number 2, 2023-01419, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee to amend ordinance 2023-01183, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on May 1st, 2023, and approved by the operation of law per City Charter Section 2-403 on May 10th, 2023, to clarify the dates of the retroactive extension of the term of the agreement and to clarify the dates of services for Task Order 61 and Task Order 92 and for other purposes.
Thank you. Now we'll go into our regular agenda.
Section H, resolutions. Item number 3, 23R3853, a resolution by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the First Amendment to Emergency Procurement Agreement listed herein, Niskey Lake Dam repairs with Ruby Collins Incorporated on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management to add funding for Phase 2 of the Progressive Design Build Agreement in amount not to exceed $7,291,206.00. All contract work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Thank you. Commissioner Browning.
Good morning, Chairman Winston, Council members, Makita Browning, Commissioner for Department of Watershed Management. Purpose of this legislation is to authorize award of the Niskey Lake Dam repairs Phase 2 construction services to Ruby Collins in the amount requested. This legislation complements the funding legislation that was previously approved in Cycle 12. Niskey Lake Dam is an earthen dam embankment structure that is located in southwest Atlanta, near the intersection of Ryland Trail and Niskey Lake Trail, and requires repairs. The project is located in District 11. DWM executed a progressive design build agreement, Phase 1 design services for Ruby Collins, effective May 16, 2022, and tasks related to Phase 1 are currently in closeout. Phase 1 efforts consist of survey, soil testing, subsurface exploration, permitting, development of final design plans, and construction activities to repair the dam. Under Phase 2, construction services, Ruby Collins will be tasked with completing necessary repairs to the dam and bring the structure into compliance pursuant to the requirements of the Georgia Environmental Protection Division Safe Dams Program. Subject to your questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Browning. Any comments or questions from my colleagues? Second. Got a motion. I'll move. Oh, we got a motion by Councilmember Shook. We got a second by Dozier. Mr. Johnson, can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 4 and 23R 3855, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Commissioner of the Department of Watershed Management to adjust water and sewer service charges on certain customer accounts incurred due to burst water lines, service lines, in the amount of $60,532.27 and for other purposes. And Mr. Chair, the administration requests that this item be filed.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I'll make a motion to file this paper. We have a second by Councilmember Dozier. Can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is filed by committee. Item number 5, 23R 3960, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or designee to execute an agreement for IFB DOT 2210-1230122 landfill transfer station with Georgia Waste Systems LLC doing business as WM on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation for a term of 5 years with 2-year, 1-year renewal options, an amount not to exceed $1,755,350.0. All contract work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. So, Mr. Chair, this item will need to be amended. The amendment attaches the IPRO report.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to amend to attach the IPRO report. Second. I have a second by Dozier. Can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The item has been amended.
Thank you. Deputy Commissioner Smith, welcome to City Utilities.
Thank you. Somehow you all wrangled me in here. Good morning, Council. Alan Smith, Deputy Commissioner, ATL DOT, TIM Division. This legislation will allow us to execute an agreement with Georgia Waste Systems for the disposal of materials associated with infrastructure repairs and maintenance.
Colleagues, we've got a request to refer this to the Transportation Committee. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments. Councilmember Shook.
Got a question. Tell us about the pricing of this proposed agreement compared to the.
So right now, the agreement is approximately, we intend to spend over the next 5 years about $1.7 million. That's roughly about $350,000 per year. It's mainly attributed to the disposal of spoil such as concrete, asphalt, soil, things like that. So over the next 5 years, we intend to exhaust about $1.7 million.
That material would go to a C&D site?
Landfill, waste management.
And tell us about the tipping fees.
I don't have the unit pricing here with me right now, but we can get that to you. I know they do charge, per ton, so I would have to get with our team and send that information to you.
And I doubt it's less money than the prior contract. So I would think the committee would like to have that information, to have a valid discussion.
Yeah, well, this is actually our first contract as ATL DOT. We were operating under, for a time, the contract Public Works had. Once we became our own department, we continued to piggyback off that contract for a while until DPW obtained a contract with a different vendor. So we chose to get our own contract to make things more efficient as far as our needs for disposal of materials.
And how is that more efficient?
Well, right now, one of the challenges we were having, trying to piggyback off of, other contracts, a lot of times, number one, their disposal materials are different from ours. DPW is disposing of garbage. Watershed is disposing of things, like treated soil and things like that. So we really needed a contract that aligned with the things that we are disposing of every day, which are typically spoils related to construction for sidewalks and roads.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Shook. Councilman Dozier, did you have any other comments? Seeing none, I will make a motion to refer this to the Transportation Committee.
Mr. Chair, we will have to approve as amended first and then
Okay.
refer to Transportation Committee.
Motion to amend, motion to
Approve as amended.
approve as amended. Have a second by Dozier. Can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 3 yeas, 1 abstention. This item is favorable as amended.
Thank you. Now, I will make a motion to refer to the Transportation Committee. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Boone. Can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. This item has been referred to Transportation Committee meeting. Item number 6, 23R3961, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor as designee to execute the Third Amendment to Special Procurement Agreement as listed herein. Annual contract for disposal of treatment waste with Georgia Waste Systems Incorporated, doing business as Waste Management of Atlanta, on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management, to amend the agreement to clarify the method by which annual price adjustments shall be made and to add funding for FY24, an amount not to exceed $8,400,000.00. All contract will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Thank you. DC Fletcher.
Good morning, Chairman Winston, council members. Quentin Fletcher, Deputy Commissioner for the Office of Water Treatment and Reclamation in the Department of Watershed Management. The purpose of this legislation is to execute the Third Amendment to Special Procurement Agreement SPS 1210228, annual contract for disposal of treatment waste with Waste Management, to add funding for FY24 in the amount of $8,400,000.00, to clarify the method for annual price adjustments to adjust the compensation schedule accordingly. The City of Atlanta Department of Watershed Management is responsible for the disposal of treatment waste generated from its operations of drinking water, wastewater, and various other facilities to a permitted landfill. The department entered into this special agreement for a term of 3 years with 2 one-year renewals options effective March 1st, 2021 through February 29th, 2024. Both the vendor, Waste Management, and the department sought clarification of the method by which annual price adjustments shall be made for services which resulted in a modification to the compensation schedule agreement. This amendment of the agreement clarifies annual pricing adjustments based on the Consumer Price Index published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, U.S. Department of Labor, for water, sewer, trash, not seasonally adjusted. Treatment waste for the department includes biosolids, ash, grit, wastewater and water screening, and construction debris. Recognizing the need to reduce waste, DWM completed a capital improvement project installing thermal dryers in 2021 at the R.M. Clayton Water Reclamation Center. The long-term solution was also developed through the Integrated Zero Waste Project. Increasing costs of biosolids disposal in Atlanta and surrounding areas led to evaluating whether a regional facility could be a viable solution. Subject to your questions, that concludes my briefing.
Thank you, DC Fletcher. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Councilmember Shook.
Okay, so future price increases will be dictated by the CPI, basically, is that right?
Yes, that is an option. The agreement speaks to escalations and de-escalations. We're going into the second year of this special procurement. So for the first year, we did not approve the CPI adjustment. But for business decisions, we will sit down and work with Waste Management.
Okay. Does the vendor, aside from that possibility, does the vendor still retain the right to ask for increase in prices?
Yes, based off the CPI, yes, they do.
Well, but can they exceed the CPI data?
No, they cannot.
And tell us a little bit more about the long-term plannings has always been a concern of mine, as the city is just constantly reacting to the latest, please pay us more, and we just seem to never have any kind of plan.
Yes. I'll let Commissioner answer that.
Hey, good morning, Councilmember Shook. As DC Fletcher mentioned, we're fostering an integrated biosolids and zero waste initiative where we're looking at more sustainable solutions for disposal of our biosolids, understanding that we're in the middle of inflationary market, increased costs for disposal of our waste. And so we are, utilizing our program management services team, and we're partnering with Department of Aviation as they have other green waste that we could benefit from, just an economy of scale regarding how we dispose of waste. So we're looking at different technologies that will be utilized to better process that waste and to minimize the need for landfilling waste. So that is the long-term goal.
So the pressures that, force prices up in the long run aren't going to change for us or any city
They're not.
or county in America.
They're not.
So do we know, have you or any other city entity been able to throw a net over what other cities and counties have done? Because I'm sure they're all asking the same questions and wringing their hands as we are.
That's a very
Possible
good
that
question.
several of them have come up with a better model.
Everybody regarding biosolids are dealing with the same issue. I would say for us at City of Atlanta Watershed, we've taken some methodical steps to try and address it. And in short, we've done everything that we can. We are fortunate to still have a permitted permitted incinerator at RM Clayton facility, our wastewater facility. At that same facility, we're fortunate to have a new thermal dryer facility that DC Fletcher spoke about. I will tell you that a lot of agencies are going towards the same thing, thermal drying. It is, a method of drying solids as much as we can, but the end result is still having to send it to a landfill.
Is there a viable aftermarket for that material? I mean,
There isn't. There just isn't. And so that's why, fostering that integrated zero waste initiative is important, because once you take it through those different, utilizing those different technologies and processes, you can get the waste to a state where it may be useful, if not marketable and useful, and therefore returning it to the environment and abating having to send it to a landfill.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from my colleagues? Commissioner Brown, I'm just curious, how much does population growth drive the future increases as well?
We as humans produce waste.
Yeah.
So we're seeing, year-over-year increments of increased waste generation, but again, it's how we process the waste at the wastewater facilities. So the increased technologies we use there in order to process it and better dissolve the organics, but at the end, we're still going to end up with solids of some sort.
Okay.
And that's on the wastewater and water side.
Well, thank you for that. I will make a motion to approve. We have a second by Councilmember Boone. Mr. Johnson, can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable. Mr. Chair, we have one item coming off held. It's item number 9. Item number 9, 23-01357, an ordinance by Councilmember Alex Vaughn waiving City Code of Ordinance Section 2-1546, authorizing the mayor's designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute a ground lease agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation as owner of certain real property located at land lot 1585, Fulton County, Georgia, for a lease term not to exceed 54 years at an annual ground rental rate in the amount of $10 for the purpose of installing and maintaining a wastewater storage tank and pump station and for other purposes. The item will need to be substituted. The substitute modifies the term of the lease so it does not exceed 50 years and attaches exhibits A and B.
I'll make a motion to bring forth the substitute. Second by Dozier. Can you please open the vote?
The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is before you.
Thank you, Mr. Marcus Butts. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Good morning to you, Chairman Winston, members of the committee. The purpose of the legislation, can you get me?
You're good.
The purpose of the legislation is to authorize the Department of Watershed Management to enter into a ground lease with the Georgia Department of Transportation for the purpose of constructing and implementing the North Fork Storage Tank and Pumping Station project. The project and ground lease is a Georgia Department of Transportation site located at the intersection of Sidney Marcus Boulevard and Buford Highway, which are in Districts 6 and 7. The North Fork Storage Tank and Pumping Station project is a sewer capacity relief project that will include construction of a 15 million gallon storage tank, as well as a 75 million gallon per day pumping station, equipment control building, and a diversion structure. The pump station is designed to handle a 10-year design storm event and will provide capacity relief during peak wet weather conditions and abate sewer overflows along the Peachtree Creek trunk system. The project is required for compliance with the DWM First Amended Consent Decree. This concludes my remarks, so if you have any questions, I'm available.
Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Motion to approve by Shook, a second by Boone. Can you please open the vote, Mr. Johnson?
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable on substitute. And Mr. Chair, that concludes our legislative items for today.
Thank you. Any parting words from my colleagues? We have Councilmember Boone.
Yes, I would like to invite everyone out to the street renaming ceremony of Bell Street to Leonard Tate Drive on Tuesday, August 22nd at 11 a.m. All are invited to attend this wonderful, wonderful tribute to Leonard Tate, who has meant so much to the city of Atlanta, helped thousands of folks with drug addiction and homelessness in the city of Atlanta. Leonard Tate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boone. Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to briefly give a big shout out to Commissioner Browning and her team just over the last few days with the torrential downpours that we saw day after day after day after day. Y'all's teams were working, I feel like, extra judiciously to get our city streets and our city homes and our city communities more broadly operating to where they need to be. I think at least one of those days had 2 streets parallel to each other that we had watershed crews out there cleaning out inlets on one street and repairing the brickwork from the permeable pavers on the other street. And y'all were super responsive to all these needs. And I know as responsive as y'all were to me, y'all were responsive to our colleagues. So just want to say thank y'all. I feel like y'all were put to the test these last couple of days, and just want to give y'all a special shout out for the work y'all done.
I'll second that as well, and as also we just want to thank our ETL DOT as well as Parks and Rec for going out and clearing tons of trees throughout the city of Atlanta and getting people back on the roads and clearing out bike lanes and doing all kinds of great stuff for the city. So I appreciate all the work. If we have no other comments or questions from my colleagues, we stand adjourned. Thank you.